How is the European Union AI Act quietly reshaping global artificial intelligence compliance beyond Europe? The EU AI Act is influencing global AI governance by forcing multinational tech companies to redesign machine learning models, biometric systems, and generative AI tools to meet European regulatory standards, which are now becoming a de facto global compliance benchmark for AI safety, algorithmic transparency, and ethical artificial intelligence. Why is the expansion of BRICS changing the balance of power in the global South? The BRICS expansion is redefining global economic multipolarity by strengthening South-South cooperation, reducing US dollar dependency, and enabling emerging economies to explore alternative trade settlement systems, energy partnerships, and development financing outside traditional Western-led institutions. What makes the Red Sea shipping crisis a turning point for global supply chain resilience? The Red Sea maritime disruption has accelerated supply chain diversification, increased insurance premiums for global shipping, and pushed corporations to invest in nearshoring, alternative sea routes, and AI-driven logistics forecasting, marking a structural shift in global trade risk management. How are central banks using artificial intelligence to fight inflation and economic volatility? In a highly interconnected global economy, several central banks are integrating AI-powered economic models to analyze real-time consumer data, labor trends, and commodity prices, enabling faster responses to inflationary pressure, interest rate decisions, and financial market instability. Climate-driven migration is influencing border policy, national security planning, urban infrastructure, and labor markets, as rising sea levels, heat waves, and water scarcity force governments to treat climate refugees as a long-term geopolitical and economic challenge. Africa's rapid mobile internet growth, undersea cable projects, cloud data centers, and fintech adoption have made it a focal point for US-China-EU tech competition, transforming the continent into a key player in global digital sovereignty and data economics. What makes space militarization a current affairs issue rather than science fiction? The rise of anti-satellite technology, military satellites, and space surveillance systems has turned outer space security into a critical policy area. With nations prioritizing space dominance, satellite resilience, and orbital defense strategies. Why is algorithmic influence rather than ideology increasingly shaping global elections? Modern elections are being shaped by social media algorithms, AI-generated political content, micro-targeted advertising, and misinformation dynamics, reducing traditional ideological debates, while amplifying data-driven voter behavior manipulation. How is the global push for digital currencies challenging traditional banking systems? The growth of central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, is challenging commercial banking models by enabling direct citizen-to-central bank transactions, increasing financial inclusion, and redefining monetary policy transmission mechanisms worldwide. Why is water scarcity emerging as the next major cause of international conflict? Transboundary rivers, groundwater depletion, and climate-induced droughts are intensifying water diplomacy disputes, pushing nations to treat freshwater security as a strategic asset tied to food security, energy production, and regional stability. How are sanctions reshaping global energy trade routes instead of stopping trade? Rather than halting commerce, economic sanctions are rerouting oil, gas, and critical mineral trade through alternative markets, shadow shipping fleets, and new payment mechanisms, reshaping the geopolitics of global energy supply chains. Why is quantum computing now a national security priority for major powers? Quantum computing development threatens existing encryption standards, prompting governments to invest heavily in quantum research, post-quantum cryptography, and cyber defense strategies to protect financial systems, military communications, and national data assets. How is the global labor market being redefined by cross-border remote work? The rise of remote global employment is reshaping tax policy, wage competition, immigration rules, and digital nomad visas, allowing companies to access international talent pools while challenging traditional nation-based labor regulations. Why are rare earth minerals central to both climate policy and global rivalry? Rare earth elements are essential for electric vehicles, renewable energy infrastructure, semiconductors, and defense technology, making their extraction and processing a focal point of resource nationalism, supply chain security, and green energy geopolitics. How is generative AI transforming diplomacy and international relations behind the scenes? Governments are using generative AI tools for policy simulation, speech drafting, intelligence analysis, and diplomatic scenario planning, quietly transforming foreign policy decision-making speed, accuracy, and strategic forecasting.